Hello there, beautiful people. So I've been sitting with this shadow queen of wands inside of me, and she's been a little bit brutally kicking my butt, really, but in a good way. And this is part of this message, part of the beauty and the positivity of this message, and the lesson that she's come to teach us, which is to get really clear about what is our truth. Because when she's the right way up, she's very clear, she's very focused, and oh yeah, she's that feminine part of us that's all in our head all the time, or when we're in our minds and really focused internally upon what is our truth and what is the most important thing we want comes from our truth. So we kind of find that, but also clarity and focus. And a little bit of discipline comes into that clarity of focus. If we're scattered and our heads all over the place, which I find myself sometimes, she calls for a little bit of honesty, and she said, come on, let's bring some order to that chaos. How do we do it? Let's ask that question. She is that part of us that can sometimes be way too heady and inside of our own heads and addicted to being there, and not do anything about the ideas that we're receiving. So we might have wonderful ideas, we might have you know some inspirations that come to us about this and about that and about the other, but we're so excited about the inspiration itself and the idea about that we don't go out of our heads and put it into action, because we're kind of satisfied by the intellectual level of realization when we find something, when we get excited about something, or when we listen and we hear what it is our intuitive thoughts might bring to us, which this queen naturally has the capability of calling in, of channeling, of hearing inside of us. But she's saying, hey, there's no point in having an idea unless you're prepared to act upon it. There's no point in being clear about what you want unless you're willing to put that into a material manifestation and get off your head, get off your ass and out of your head, and do something about it. And so, although this card isn't necessarily about doing it, it kind of brings up that, or at least it has been for me a little bit. When we find ourselves scattered about many ideas, we have to tune in our attention to one thing. We have to really find one thing that's the most important right here and now that we can focus on, so that we can direct our attention and turn that into action. Because if we're thinking about many different things, then it's easy to be distracted, it's easy to procrastinate, it's easy to find ourselves wandering, and we become airy-fairy. We're not on the ground, our feet aren't earthed. And this queen has an issue sometime with that earthiness, because she's the queen of air, and so she's going to be blown by the wind, and that's that part of us that is easily distracted from being focused. But when we know these, when we catch ourselves in this energy, it's like, well, if we want to get more focused, we've got to practice being focused. If we want to get clearer, we've got to ask some questions about what is our truth and what is it that we really want. If we want to concentrate more, if we want to have a little bit more order in our life, we have to practice finding order. We have to set up some structures. We have to make ourselves a plan. And if we don't do all these things, which, are not my forte in many fronts, then that's why she's been kicking my ass. Then we have to find a way to dig deep and to be a little bit honest with ourselves and say, hey, well, what can help me find more of this story? And what will actually be a good step-by-step program that can help me manifest a little bit of what I truly want? Because we know what we want, but we might be confusing that with other stories. We might too easily find that distractions take us away from our truth. And we can all probably relate to this on one level or another, but find out what that is. Find out what that is and be ready to come out of the air and come into the body. Be ready to feel what's important and act upon it. And be a little bit strict and ruthless with your own mind. If you find yourself getting distracted, then practice pulling yourself back into focus. Practice drawing your attention back into alignment with what is real for you. And see what that looks like. Use your imagination to imagine what that could look like, and bloody act upon it. Not tomorrow, not maybe one day, but today, right here, now. Have a great day. Love to hear your comments.